Mike Briggs is our marketing analyst this week. As of July 1st, U.S. farmers and ranchers were holding the fewest number of cattle and calves since the USDA began tracking that data in 1973. After a year off due to budget sequestration, the agency's July cattle inventory report estimated a total of 95 million cattle and calves in the U.S. Other numbers Friday show Texas maintained the top spot over Nebraska in cattle on feed. As the country's leader in cattle slaughter, cattle are not only a big part of this state's livestock industry, they're also big consumers of corn and soybeans. Nebraska's cattle account for about 25% of the state's soybean meal consumption, and the current crop of both soybeans and corn remain in historically notable condition. We talked with Mike Wednesday morning as feeder cattle futures reached to new highs, making it a good time to be a feeder.
It's been great. It's really been a lot of fun to feed cattle again.
Yeah, how has it stayed this high for this long?
Great question. It's truly a supply-driven issue. Well, it's a supply and demand-driven issue, just like it always is. You don't have your cow beef, your cow supplies are down so far, and your cow slaughter is down so far, and that's where your main consumer ingredient comes from. That's hamburger. So you've had to go ahead and grind the ends on these fat cattle to meet the hamburger demand. So it's been a great deal for us, and that's truly what's holding this up, and that's what's going to hold us up as we go forward, because the cow slaughter is never going to reach last year's levels. Even when we come into the fall and see that second wave of cow slaughter, I don't think it's going to reach last year's levels, and I don't think the feedlot supplies are going to be there. So I think this thing's around to stay for a little bit.
Right, that's what I was going to say. With those things in mind, you expect the feeder contracts to stay that high?
I think so. I think that it's quite possibly go higher, because it all depends a lot. We're really starting to see, as we've talked a little bit last time, the consumer preference for hamburger come through. They want that stuff, and they're willing to pay more for it. I think we may find out how much they're willing to pay for it, because I'm afraid grind meat is going to be in and stay in a short supply.
Live cattle have also stayed really high. Has that narrowed margins at all?
Oh, yeah. It's pretty hard to replace what you sell. It really is difficult. Now, the fact that our supply, the raw product, the corn and everything has gone down so much, that's helped margins. But yeah, they've been squeezed a little, because people have made a lot of money. The feeder cattle supply is short, so a lot of people are chasing a very small amount of feeders.
Have you changed the number of days you're keeping these animals in the feedlot?
That's a great question. Here, no. A lot of places, yes. And the reason is, and what has confused a lot of market prognosticators this year, is the fact that they saw huge carcass weights. Well, people must be holding cattle. And we've heard it all summer. Oh, there's going to be a lot of cattle for July and August. There's no cattle for July and August. And the reason was cattle got pulled ahead. And the reason they got pulled ahead was the weather has been so good, performance has been so good, that they got to market-ready weights 2 and 3 and maybe even as much as 4 weeks ahead of schedule. They were very profitable, so people sold them. And so you've sold cattle 20 days ahead on average. So you've sold these cattle because they're making money, and everybody has the fear that this market's just going to fall on its back. I don't think it's going to, but so people were always pushing their marketings, even though on paper, because of carcass size, it didn't appear so.
You mentioned the cost of corn right now. USDA is expecting record yields come harvest, and the crop looks to be off to a pretty darn good start. Actually,
we need some rain here in the Western Corn Belt, but yeah, I don't think anybody has a problem east of us.
Yeah, what are you doing buying corn now?
Hand to mouth, because my gosh, every time I buy it, it drops another 10 cents. So I've had to go hand to mouth. I've gone hand to mouth on all my commodities. Hay, distiller's grain. Now, one of these days I'll probably get myself caught, but I'll worry about that when it starts going up, because right now there's no reason to chase this stuff.
I think the last time we were talking about how high distillers prices were because China was taking everything. That's not the case anymore, no?
No, they've backed off significantly, and you've actually seen some more plants come online at a time of year where there isn't a lot of distiller's grain demand, because numbers in feed yards are lower. So you've seen that stuff have a pretty precipitous drop.
Has the packer been able to make his money as well?
Apparently so, because he hasn't stopped killing them, and there's an awful lot of competition out there to harvest what there is to harvest. So it's a great situation, and I want everybody to make money. I hope they make money. We need that, because we don't want them to go away.
All things considered, coming off of that big drought, this has to be among the best cases of scenario you could have imagined, no?
Oh, absolutely. Coming off a drought like this with $8 corn and all the things that were, it just looked like there was never going to be an end in sight 2 years ago, and now Yeah, you couldn't ask for anything better.